I have no roots here. There is nothing that binds me to this windy rock in the North Atlantic, no family history that clings to the cliffs or washes up from the seas. But it is here, among the polished stones of Middle Cove Beach, that I first began to grapple with questions of origin. Here that I started thinking about the meaning of home. Here that I began to work through my own desires for belonging. Home is important to Newfoundlanders, place central to their identity. Many can pull their family histories across this island, tracing stories that go back centuries. They can picture the salt box houses where their grandparents lived. They walk the path of their ancestors. They know the voices of those who have come before them. As a people, they are one with the land, deeply rooted in this place, profoundly shaped by weather, landscape, and the volatile moods of the sea. "Where are you from?" they would ask during our first year here, and I would struggle to answer. "Most recently from Vancouver," I eventually said, and it was true. "You must have married a Newfoundlander," they said confidently, because they couldn't imagine any other possible reason to be here. But that wasn't true. I'm a mainlander, a come-from-away, someone who doesn't quite fit, whose roots haven't dug themselves into this soil or crawled along these rocks. Come from away. It's a phrase that used to frustrate me. It made me angry. A come from away will never belong, will never fit in, this phrase suggests. Mainlanders aren't like us, it whispers. More than this, a come from away is an interloper, someone who doesn't really have the right to be here. The boundaries were drawn well before we arrived, and none of us had a say in where we were placed. "No," I'd shoot back, "I'm an NBC, Newfoundlander by choice." But that term isn't quite right either. I'd always thought that home was wherever I happened to be at any given time. I'd thought that community was something people built together regardless of their origins. But maybe there's more to it. Living in Newfoundland with the ocean lapping at my toes has brought all of this into high relief. I've spent much of my life on the outside looking in. I've never lived in a place that I could fully call home. I am rootless, myself spreading across 3 continents, my histories spanning 5. Belonging is fragile, fragmented, multiple. Home is impossible. I am an outsider within, a chameleon who can take on the guise of the local, but who will never be fully recognized as one, and, perhaps more to the point, will never truly feel like one. But here, at Middle Cove Beach, where the Capelin come to play, I wonder. Middle Cove Beach is where my children learned to skip rocks. It's where they sailed the wooden boat that their great-grandfather built some 40 years ago for their father. It's where they've fallen shivering into icy water, and where they've stood laughing, watching as their dad poured a cold salt waterfall out of his boots. Middle Cove Beach is where they almost got caught behind a rogue wave, where they've clambered around like mountain goats, moving higher and higher along the slate cliff ledges. It's where we've watched winter storms, awed by the power of the heaving ocean, and where we touched our first capelin. Middle Cove Beach has taught us about weather, about water. It has taught us about fish and community. It has taught us about Newfoundland, the place and its peoples. It has shown us, too, the possibilities and the limits of belonging. It was the prospect of a job that first lured me to St. John's in February 2008. I was almost finished my doctorate in women's studies. My research funding had ended the previous December, and we were living on air, a family of 4 scrabbling on almost nothing in Vancouver, one of the most expensive cities in Canada. The academic job market was miserable. There were only 6 possibilities in the entire country, and even then, I felt like I was stretching my expertise very thin. "Do you ever wonder what will happen after we finish our degrees?" My friend Heather, a fellow doctoral student, had asked me a few months earlier. "Do you worry about getting a job?" "Always," I said.